The 2018 CHS boys basketball team was one filled with many talented and hardworking players, but they would be without a leader in the program. Xavier Machuga, who suffered a brain aneurysm prior to the season, and inspired the team to dedicate the season to him with the slogan, Soldier X.
This time in my life was extremely hard. Well, it still is. But that gave me the motivation to work hard and overcome this obstacle, to be resilient, face adversity with no fear at all. I went to every day thinking, they dedicated this season to me, so I have to dedicate what I do to them. And that played a huge role in my recovery, it really did.
The team kicked off their season with an intense tryout process that had all the coaches watching very closely.
Obviously, we had high expectations. We knew we were going to be somewhat good. You know what I mean? So we set goals at the beginning of the season and just tried to accomplish them.
The team worked hard and encouraged each other throughout the tryouts, and before they knew it, the teams were set and the season opener loomed.
Some of us were still getting out of fall sports, coming back into winter sports, and getting the feel of basketball in your hand, getting that feeling back. But I'd say probably a week after tryouts ended and we had a full week of practice with just the varsity, that's when we really started to get in full swing and getting momentum going into the season.
You know that feeling right before the first night of tryouts? Everybody's excited, going to bed, and you're like, tomorrow we get to play, Canton High School basketball again. That feeling for me went away a long time ago. I don't get that feeling the night before tryouts. Okay? I know all you do because all you guys come into my classroom or you come into my office and you talk to me about it. And I know all you guys get that feeling, and I never want to shut that feeling down because that's an important feeling. But I get that feeling tonight. I get that feeling before we walk out in the court tomorrow. And we get to play Attleboro for our first opening home game of the season in front of what we hope to be a packed crowd, right? You guys have put in a lot of work. You guys have put in a lot of time. Now's the time, right? Now's the time. Opportunity tomorrow. So I hope that when you go to bed tonight, you have that feeling that you had before tryouts, but it's even stronger. And I hope when you show up to school tomorrow, all day, you're just excited. You're amped up. Right? Because tomorrow has a chance to be a special night for us. We can start our season with a win. We can start our season on the right foot. And we can march forward to whatever it is that we're trying to get to and whatever it is that we're trying to reach.
So we knew Attleboro was obviously a good team. I think they came out with the Hog Five like the day before we played them. We were like 5th and they were like 4th. So I mean, we knew it was going to be a good game. And we knew it was going to be like a statement win if we won. It would set our season off right. So it's a big one.
First up for the Bulldogs was a matchup versus Attleboro, the number 3 team in the Hockomock Sports preseason. The Bulldogs got off to a hot start thanks to the play of captains Devin Foster and Jake Barilli, who found them success on both ends of the court. But the exclamation point came off a monster block courtesy of senior captain Tony Harris, sending his teammates and the Dog Pound faithful into a frenzy. Despite the hot start, Attleboro would respond, finding easy buckets down low. And it was only thanks to an Austin Maffey three-pointer that the Dogs took a 1-point advantage into halftime. In the second half, the Bulldogs found success from behind the arc, courtesy of Harris and Ryan Lental. But a resilient Attleboro team refused to go away, cutting a 10-point lead to 3 with just 31.8 seconds to go.
Yeah, just to get one stop. It's all about this one stop. Coach Douglas always talks about one possession warriors, and I think going through my mind, I was thinking we just need one stop, get a rebound, and we got this game.
However, the game-tying attempt was short, sending the Canton bench into a frenzy for the first win of the young season.
I'm happy, and I'm excited, and you should enjoy it tonight. But that's one game of a 20-game season. I'm not going to get too high, all right? And I got to be very honest, I expected to win that game. And you should have expected to win that game. All right? Coach just brought up a great point to me in the hallway. You want to share that with the guys?
Yeah, I said, hey, we weren't making our shots, right? Well, nothing was falling in the fourth quarter. But we kept our composure. Like years past, we haven't kept our composure. We kept our composure. Great leadership, going out of timeouts and getting guys together. And we dug in and got stops, right? That's what won the game. The defense in the fourth quarter won the game. We got stops when we needed, and we rebounded when we needed to, which hasn't always been the case. And it was team rebounding, okay? So when things weren't going well, we were able to dig in and get the stops in a man-to-man defense, which we haven't been able to do in the past either. So let's build off of that, and we'll keep, we'll make better decisions down the stretch and hit shots normally. But what we did in the first three quarters allowed us to bank some of that and not be able to score and still get stops on defense and win the game. Really proud of the way we played defense.
Needless to say, morale after the win was at an all-time high, and it would need to be because the Bulldogs face perennial D1 powerhouse Mansfield on Friday. It was apparent from tip-off that the game would not be easy for either team, as each found success, highlighted for the Bulldogs by a Jake Early steal and transition bucket. And despite the Hornets finding success from three, a Harris three-pointer found the Bulldogs trailing by just 4 at the half.
Four-point game, but we had them on the ropes. But it can flip like that. In one or two possessions, it can flip because of their firepower. So the margin of error is small. It's got to be precise. Turnovers, travels, bobbling the ball out of bounds. Can't happen. Illegal screens can't happen.
I honestly expected us to win, actually. We practiced with them exactly a week before at Mass Premier because our coach, Coach Gordy, and their coach, Mike Vaughn, they're really good friends, and Coach Gordy's always trying to, he's always making us better some way, somehow, and with that practice, he kind of helped us by proving a point with showing, with practicing with Mansfield. They're the top dog. They've won the league, I don't even know, the past 8 years, I think now. So we practiced with them, and we ended up splitting the day with them in total drills. We each won 2, and he kind of showed us, and he even said it, the coach even said it, that we can play with the big dogs.
The Dogs were hungry for the upset, and it showed through the play of Ryan Lental, as well as Austin Matthews. And after a Jake Early layup fell, the Bulldogs held a 3-point advantage heading into the fourth. But Mansfield continued to battle, ultimately taking back the lead.
We had a 2-point lead going to the fourth quarter. It was just back and forth the whole game with Mansfield, and no lead is obviously safe. A 2-point lead is nothing, but no lead is safe against Mansfield, so we knew that this fourth quarter was going to be a war. We held around for the first couple minutes of the fourth quarter, and then John McCoy and their team scored about, I think it was 11 or 13 points by himself in the fourth quarter. He was getting the offensive rebounds. He's just kind of hitting everything. It's kind of hard to stop a guy that has that much momentum and heats up in the fourth quarter. That's what kind of ended that game.
And despite a last-ditch comeback attempt, the Dogs came up just short, not without learning a valuable lesson.
Hey, that game came down to they were more willing to make more plays in the fourth quarter than us. Offensive rebounds, straight line drives, plays we weren't willing to make, Mansfield was willing to make. The only difference between Mansfield and Canton basketball is the willingness to make plays in the fourth quarter. We've gotten past the point where we talk about effort. Like, we're too good of a basketball program to talk about effort. Okay, we're at the point where it's not about effort, it's not about being in the right spots, it's about making plays when it matters, it's about making plays in crunch time. Okay, you won the majority of that game. They won a 4-minute battle to win it. That's the difference. So how you feel right now, let it sink in and remember it. Let it sink in and remember it. And let's use this as a learning experience to get over the hump and find a way to win these close games that we're going to have all year long. Let's use it as a learning experience to find a way to win that next fourth quarter that we find ourselves in. Because we're 1-1, but we're 0-2 in fourth quarters. Okay? We've been in close games, but now it's time to win close games. It's time to win fourth quarters. Winning time matters in basketball. It matters. So I am super proud of you. I am super proud of your effort. I'm super proud of your execution for 3.5 quarters. And I am super prepared to work with you and coach you up to win final 4-minute battles. Because that's going to define our season.
So I think initially, right after the loss, everyone was devastated. It was very devastating for all of us because we knew we had that game and we let it slip away in that fourth quarter. But shortly after, I think after we got on the bus, we realized, wow, we can have a special season. We just played with one of the best teams in the state. We could do something special here.
It was back to the basics for the Bulldogs, who had just a few days to practice before coming home to face KP. The practice paid off, as Foster and Verrilli got the home crowd invested early. And the offense would not relent, as Paul Corcoran added a nice bucket of his own. And again, senior Tony Harris was there making key plays. Before Foster iced it with late game free throws, turning the focus to a non-league clash with Boston Latin, where Bulldogs superfan Tommy DeLello gave his thoughts on the game.
So, I don't know Boston Latin very well, but I know the Dogs are going to roll. Utmost confidence, 100%, roll Dogs.
And roll is exactly what the Dogs did, finding success in nearly every facet of the game, en route to jumping out to an early 11-point lead that they wouldn't look back from, on their way to a blowout victory. After picking up wins against North Attleboro and Archbishop Williams, the 5-1 Dogs soared into a matchup versus the Milford Scarlet Hawks. Yes, sir! Despite facing the Hawks, it was the Bulldogs who came out flying, with deadly three-point shooting.
We hit like 4 threes on like back-to-back possessions. So it's a big momentum swing, so.
And contributions from a new face in senior Matt Warburton.
Playing against Milford was it was a huge confidence boost, and I feel like that game where I came in and I played well, I think that's what gave me the ability to elevate my game to to the next level.
Milford's own Earl the Pearl tried to ignite a Hawk comeback, but the red-hot Bulldogs would not be denied, capped by another Maffey 3, moving the team to 6-1 before heading over to take on the Sharon Eagles.
Good amount of people at Dog Pound. We got the core members, and I think Dogs are rolling. I got Dogs winning by 17. That's like easy win too. The thing about Sharon though, they might sneak up to you, they can shoot out of the building. They have those games when they show up, except Dogs defense is here, locked down. I got Austin Maffey hitting 6 threes, and I have a dunk from Tony Harris this game. A dunk.
Unlike DeLello's last prediction, this game would be no cakewalk, as the Eagles came ready to play and outplayed the favorited Dogs to a 20-9 advantage after one.
The first quarter was definitely interesting. An away game in the Davenport's always tough to come out. First quarter, you kind of get a sense of like what the environment's like. It was kind of a weird feeling. We didn't have that much energy. Pre-game was kind of weird too. We came out kind of cold too, not communicating well. Their center, Malik Lorquette, was kind of just bullying us on the offensive rebounds. We had no real defender to put on him in the first quarter. I think he had 11 of their 20. But at the end of the first quarter, Kyle Fitzgerald came to our huddle and he did say that Sharon, that's all they have. That's the best they have. And Gordy kind of backed that up, and our team kind of was like, yeah, that is all they have. Let's bring in the second quarter. And second quarter and third quarter, the rest of the game was a completely different game.
But in the second, the Dogs recovered with a 9-0 run, starting with Harris free throws, followed by a Corcoran steal and Foster layup. Sharon continued to shoot well, but a Kyle Fitzgerald charge sparked a 28-23 advantage at the half.
Just step in front, take one, because it doesn't really hurt. And then coach at the beginning of the season said that those really helped the team, like momentum-wise, like big stop. So I kind of took on that role.
A pair of Foster buckets had the Bulldogs feeling comfortable, and despite consecutive three-point plays for the Eagles, the Dogs held firm with Fitzgerald 3 and Warburton put back.
Oh yeah, trigger! Trigger! He's taking over!
After a Maffey bucket, followed by another Eagle turnover, all that was needed was some flair. And DeLello was right about one thing: a Harris dunk.
So the play before it actually was wicked funny. We went to the zone, which helped us a lot with winning that game. And the kid tried to pass it to my side, and it was a bounce pass, so I kicked it. And I didn't think the ref was going to call it. And I started to take off with it, and then the ref blew the whistle. And then I turned to Devin, I was like, yo, that was about to be a boom. I was about to windmill that. And then he was like, yo, get it next play. And sure enough, like the kid, like he took the ball, like he stared at me. He faked it, still looking at me, and then he passed it, and then I got it.
Bingo! Bingo! He wants it!
Listen, before you change, before everything happens, we're giving the world what they want. Tuesday, Foxborough coming into town, home game, everybody gets that. Sharon's an absolute rock fight. Every time we come into this gym, they make it tough. It wasn't easy, but I learned something about my team tonight. I learned that you're tough. I learned that you have grit, and I learned that you're resilient when your backs are against the wall. They scored 20 points in the first quarter. It was 20-9 to end the first quarter. They scored 22 points the rest of the game. I told you a long time ago, it ain't about offense. We're going to get that. That's going to come in. It's about defense. You guys had another terrific defensive performance. We went to the 1-3-1. Guys did good. Warby, you were a beast. How's it feel to be 7-1? Dude!
Next up for the Bulldogs was a primetime matchup with Davenport rival, the Foxborough Warriors. Despite facing a team who had their number in previous years, Canton came ready to play, finding success on both the offensive and defensive ends of the court. Harris 3 and layups from Barilli and Maffey paved the way for a Bulldog lead in the second half. And despite a brief Foxborough run, Devin Foster was determined for a lead heading into the fourth. In the final quarter, the Bulldogs would rely again on their stars, with huge threes from Foster and Harris to get a lead they wouldn't surrender the rest of the game, moving the team to 8-1 on the season.
We were both number one in the Davenport, so that win brought us over, and that was the first time all season we were number one in the Davenport. And I've never experienced that feeling, so it was a great feeling, and I think it was important for the team to know that we have a chance to win the Davenport this year, but we need to keep getting wins.
After a couple days of practice, it was time for a game against a team that needed no introduction, the Stoughton Black Knights. Being the team who ended the Bulldogs season on a miraculous shot just 1 year before.
So when we walked back into the gym before the game, it felt weird being back there, just looking around. I was looking at the spot where Camp Andrews hit that last shot. It was crazy. But, you know, once we got into warm-ups and everything, it was all about just beating them, getting that revenge.
The Dogs came out hungry for revenge, but it was Stoughton who put pressure on early.
It was a close game for a while because Stoughton scored like Sharon scored. They got the home court advantage with something. But once the second half hit, Austin started taking over for real, and then we made that huge lead, and Devin carried us too in an awesome night.
A steal from Maffey and stellar play from Foster and Barilli led play on the court, and the fan section for Canton did their part off of it.
Can't pass! You can't pass! Don't shoot either!
Another three ball from Barilli gave the Dogs a 13-point lead, and Foster put the bow on a blowout victory in the fourth. The preparation for the game was key, but there was another factor in the win as well.
How's it feel to beat Stoughton? Yeah! How's it feel to be 9-1 50% of the way through the season? Yeah! And for the last one, how's it know that Xavier's pep talk for this game is probably why we won?
Yo! I'll give that props.
I described exactly what I felt. I mean, Stoughton was a big game for me. Yes, I couldn't play, but it was huge for me. And I thought about it maybe just as much, if not more, than everyone else on the team. I was thinking about that day before the season even started. So I really had to let them know how I felt about it. I think that was important.
Great work, fellas. Great work tonight. We knew it was going to be a dogfight. That's also our final Friday night away game of the season. So they are out of the picture. Out of the picture from this point forward. Stay hungry, stay humble. We have a lot of more wins that we got to go get this season. Come and compete, Canton!
The Bulldogs looked to punch their postseason ticket in Franklin, but it would not be easy. And despite some crafty passes, the high-octane Panther offense was too much for the Dogs. Their ticket would have to wait.
We got here because we've honored the process. So I'm going to ask you on the ride home to be reflective. And on the ride home, I'd really like you to consider what has this season looked like game by game. Sit by yourself, take yourself game by game and ask yourself, how do we win those games? And I bet you guys will find a pretty common theme. We outworked the other team, and we played great defense. Tonight, I watched Franklin outwork Canton, and I watched Franklin play great defense. That's why they're 11-1. And then the second that our bus rolls into Canton, and you step off and you shake my hand like you do every away game, we're moving on to Boston Latin.
And that was kind of like the first time all season where together as a team we didn't have that good of a game. And to go out in front of like a crowd like that on such a big stage, like the Boston Globe was there. They were reporting on the game. We had all this hype behind us. We were the biggest game in the state that night, and to go out there and just get absolutely blown out was just, honestly, it was demoralizing. But when we got into the bus, by that time at least, all of us were like so focused on the next night. We had back-to-back games that week, or it was we had one day practice, then we had a game the next day versus Boston Latin, and all of us were just so laser focused on that day because we needed to get past it. We needed that one more game just to punch our ticket.
You can
Harris's cram got the Dog Pound faithful into it early, and good play from Devin Foster led the offense. Latin would keep things interesting, but Harris and company was too much. The Bulldogs were going back to the playoffs.
State tournament! Warby! 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 Warby!
The Warby chant started my junior year when I got in for the first time, my first ever varsity minutes against Middleborough. And what happened was the fan section, they started chanting, "We want Warby." And, eventually Coach gave in and I went in, and that's where I started to eat, I did my thing. Big dog status. And what ended up happening at the end of the game, I got a standing ovation from the entire crowd. Warby, Warby, Warby.
Hey, do it with me. Kaiser! Kaiser! Hey, bring it up here. Let's go. Hooters, let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Hey, gentlemen, congratulations. For the first time since 2014, Canton High School boys basketball is going dancing. Hey, boys. Come and compete, Canton!
After picking up a win against OA and the program's first ever victory over Taunton,
The Bulldogs finished Kelly Rec's play with a 4-2 record, their only 2 losses coming against the 2 teams who made it to the Division I state championship. And it was finally time for the Bulldogs' first Friday night home game of the season. North had the team's number early, getting a 7-point advantage out of the gate. And while Foster ended this run, the night would belong to senior captain, Tony Harris.
Everything just like came to me that day. And then when it got to game time, I started hitting threes in the first quarter, and I started like getting to the hoop pretty easily. And I don't know what that was, but it was just kind of like I was just doing it. I wasn't like playing my game. I wasn't overthinking. I was just doing it. And then at halftime, I'm hearing whispers inside the locker room before the coaches got in, and I'm hearing like how I had 22 points, and I was like, I have 20. I was like, their whole team has like 19. You're telling me I have 22?
Despite rolling an ankle in the second quarter, Harris dominated in every facet of the game by the time the night was over. Wound up scoring 36 points to tie the school's all-time record for points in a game.
He put up like 40 points. Yeah, it's like 36.
It'd be like that. Hey, it's a good win. Hey, that's a good team. Nice here. That's a good team. Okay? And we just beat that good team by 20.
Again.
All right? How about that atmosphere out there? And that's a 5 o'clock game. Get fired up for the next 2 Friday nights, because the next 2 Friday nights it's in our house. All right? And Tony Harris tied the all-time school record for points in a game. Hey, get up! Let's go! Guys, Tony has to Dougie. Wait, bro. Oh, here's a Dougie? I really don't Dougie. What do you do? I don't know. Billy Rock. What you do? Let's go, Warby. Yeah! Hit it again. Can I get Jake? Can I get Jake Conley in here?
So, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a move guy.
I got no moves. We're not moving until you got some moves up his sleeve. Big boy wins it all. Come and compete, Canton.
6 seconds to go. Sailor gets over to Kelly. Kelly to the corner. White, his chance. He got it! Brendan White with the dagger.
My God, the crowd has lost it. What a shot by Brendan White. Milford is out of control.
That Milford loss really hurt us in the Davenport race, so it was all about coming back and getting a win, putting ourselves back up with the first seed.
It was Canton's annual Silent Night game, in which the student section dresses in their wildest costume and doesn't make a sound until the Bulldogs' 10th point is scored. But once again, the Eagles would get an early lead, and the Bulldogs looked to be in for a fight until the 10th point was scored. From that point forward, it was all Bulldogs, knocking down threes and getting the ball inside, rolling to a nearly 30-point edge at the half. the second half featured more of the same. The fireworks of the night were far from over.
After halftime, I knew that I was going to go in that night, but at around 5 minutes, I got the call from the coach, check in. So then I knew it was showtime. And into the huddle, coach says, all right, we run our basic offense. He says, all right, you're going to curl it. We're going to hit you with the ball and just shoot.
If there was any game I have to highlight this year, I'd probably highlight the Sharon game. That was a game where we were resilient coming off of Milford. The whole team contributed. Everybody had their limelight. Even Jay Conley, that was awesome to see. And you should have seen everybody who was left go crazy. Like there's one picture I have on my phone where like half the bench is like jumping up, celebrating, like we're all in the air, and then everybody on the court's going crazy, and the student section's absolutely losing it. It's like, it's so awesome to be part of something like this.
That was a great play call, coach!
So after the game, we found out, so Milford has a TV program, so we could watch the game live between Milford and Foxborough. And all season we were competing with Foxborough for that first spot in the Davenport. And we figured out the game was close, so we got to watch the final minute and watch Milford actually beat Foxborough, and for us to be able to maintain a one-game lead against Foxborough, which meant that we would control our destiny for the rest of the season.
The moment had arrived. If the Bulldogs could beat Foxborough, they would clinch sole possession of the Davenport crown. It would have to be a gritty win, as points were coming at a premium. The two teams went back and forth. But in the second half, the Warriors would be able to maintain their 5-point advantage. Cutting down the nets would have to wait, but a win on senior night would still clinch the Davenport championship. The 5 seniors on the team had a fantastic pregame ceremony to remember their last 4 years, but had to stay focused on what was in front of them in order to beat their bitter rivals and clinch their first Davenport championship in 26 years.
Devin was dealing with a sickness, and we knew about that during school, so that at first got me a little worried, but then that worry turned into like, oh, I need to step up tonight because we're winning a Davenport championship this year, so me and Austin, we're going to need to step up, and we talked about it. We knew that's what we had to do, and we did it.
Without Foster at 100%, the Bulldogs relied on fellow captain Austin Maffey for scoring, as well as Kyle Fitzgerald and Jake Verrilli.
Pass to Kyle Fitzgerald, back to Jake, back to Austin Maffey, Jake with the hoops.
But despite the hot start, Stoughton responded, taking a 4-point lead.
I was having a tough game with fouls, so I wasn't playing much, but other players, Jake, Kyle, Austin, like you name it, Paul, like they all came through, they pulled through for us. And yeah, it was kind of like back and forth, but at the same time, like it really wasn't though. We kept pulling ahead, but then we'd let up on defense. And then I would come in for a second, then I would foul, and I'd be taken right back out. So like it was kind of like more of a confusing game. It was a game nobody was used to.
Kyle Fitzgerald to Austin Maffey. Austin Maffey to Jake Verrilli. Jake Verrilli with the shot. And the ball is in.
After the miracle play on offense, a Fitzgerald steal, and Verrilli free throw, the game was seemingly over.
Kyle Fitzgerald with the hoop. And he makes it.
Until Stoughton inexplicably fouled again.
I think I got up for the for the timeout. Everyone walking over, and like whenever I started sitting down, I was saying something. I can't remember what it was. I think it was along the lines of like, "They foolish, they foolish. What are they doing?" Austin Silver had these free throws. he about to punch 20 on senior night, and sure enough, he did.
Those last couple minutes of that game and after that were one I'll never forget. Grabbing the rebound with a couple of seconds left and then Stoughton fouling, I immediately became kind of emotional looking up at the crowd and realizing that that game was over and we just won our first title in 26 years. Kid went to the free throw line with 2 seconds left and I was shaking. I couldn't even believe what was happening. Everyone was standing up and clapping. But after that buzzer rang for the last time during the regular season and after we won that championship, I can't explain what it was like.
It was official. The Bulldogs would be putting up a banner, but not before celebrating with the one who started it all.
What's up, Max? Not yet. X, we did this for you, man. We did this one for you. This whole thing started with you. Way back when all this happened, when everything happened to you, we rallied around you. We had to go visit you at a rehab center. We dedicated our season to you, and we won this one for you, man. We love you, kid. How about give X a cheer? You are the 2017-2018 Hockomock League champions.
Let's go!
Hey, come and compete! Yeah!
It was a regular season that surprised almost everyone, but not one person.
I knew way before this season even started. When everyone came and saw me, got together, I saw how strong our culture really is. And that to me just says that a team can do anything, you know. They really did a lot for me, and they helped me at a time that I really needed help. I really needed someone there. Now, if they can do that, they can do anything. So yes, I knew way before the season even started.
The Bulldogs would take on O'Brien in round 1, in a game that epitomized playoff high school basketball.
Over to Harris, and he lays it in. Gotta love it. O'Brien swings it over, pulls up for the mid-range, and got it. Swings it to Matthew, over to Foster. Does a little mix-up, and it's good. He knocks down the 3. Attempt to Matthew to Harris, lets it fly from 3, and it's good.
With Canton making big shot after big shot, and a layup from Foster was enough for a 3-point lead heading into the half.
3, 2 to go, 1, it's up, and it will not fall.
The Dogs take a 3-point lead into the half.
What an electric ending to that half, Tom.
That was a huge momentum shift by the Dogs there. I didn't know what to expect. We looked down but not out, and now we're blatantly back on top of this game. You love to see it from the higher-seeded Canton Bulldogs.
Yeah.
In the second half, the Bulldogs were ready to fight, making tough buckets and diving on the floor.
Really diving on the floor. and he gets the jump ball.
What a grit play by Jake Verrilli there, really selling out for the team with that left hand.
But O'Brien took a 2-point advantage into
Wow.
the fourth.
And great hop step there. Pick this one up in the fourth quarter. They've been rowdy all night.
Ah! Wow. Harris for three. Got it! That kid has ice water in his veins.
Ice in his veins.
And there's the Bulldogs.
Harris and the Bulldogs battled to the bitter end, but the talented Tigers had just enough to end the magical season.
And clock strikes midnight on the Bulldogs' fantastic season. It truly was a special one, Tom. And
Listen, I know it stings, and it should, but you guys played your hearts out, man. You guys played your absolute hearts out. You left it all on the floor. It's not easy to do right now, but I need you to try to step back and look at your whole body of work. Tonight didn't go our way. That's a very good basketball team. They're more than just one player. Talent-wise, they're far superior to us. Athletically, they're far superior to us. But we fought, and we clawed, and we hung in there because we were committed and we were competitive. And for that, I am incredibly proud to be your coach. I'm incredibly proud to be your coach. So step back from this game and think about the whole body of work. Think about the league championship that will be up there for the rest of your lives. The rest of your lives. Seniors, you did something by putting up a banner that hasn't been done in 26 years, and it will be there for the rest of your lives. And I don't know if you got an opportunity, but anybody step back and take a look at the community tonight? They showed up. You had the whole town of Canton behind you tonight. With your success that you had this season in putting up a banner and winning 16 games and being undefeated in the regular season at home, you drew out 8-year-old kids from this community. And they looked at you tonight, not the NBA guy, not the college guy, they looked at you, the local high school player, as their hero. The senior class has rebuilt this program step by step, brick by brick. From Matt Warburton, who almost got cut from the freshman team, to playing big minutes tonight his senior year in a home state tournament game. To Jake Conley, who prides himself on leading the team in high fives and claps. Every good team has a Jake Conley. To Austin Maffey, who worked out so hard and got in the gym and dedicated to threes that you made yourself have an unbelievable career. You are the captain of the 2018 Canton Bulldog champions for the rest of your life. And to Jake and Tony, who sat in my office as 7th graders, and we dreamed. We laid out a plan, and we dreamed. To Devin Foster, who in my opinion is the best player in the Hockomock League and has a chance to be one of the best players in the state of Massachusetts next year. You use this as fuel and motivation, and you know what? You do it for them. You do it for those two and him, and you do it for them. Leave no doubt, have no regrets, just like they won't. And my last thing, my last point is important. This was all about Soldier X. Last spring, the kid had a brain aneurysm. He was in a coma. But what this basketball program did, it changed my life. We rallied around one of ours like I've never seen before. We let him know how supported he was. The secret to basketball is it has nothing to do with basketball. It has everything to do with people and relationships. And when he was down and out and he needed us, we showed up. You showed up. You were there for him. And that encouragement got him out of a coma and into a rehab center, where the first time I visited him, he couldn't eat, he couldn't talk, he couldn't move. And he went from that moment to fighting and competing, and he committed to honoring the process, because that's what we do. That's the life lesson you're taking out of this season. We honor the process. And I watched Xavier Machuga go from a coma to eventually moving his limbs, to eventually nodding his head, to eventually eating, talking, breathing on his own. And when we went in and we saw him as a team, we took that trip over the summer and we saw him as a team. Not only did I see a team form and come together, I saw an inspired soldier, Soldier X. Fast forward a few months. We host a welcome home tailgate for him, Tailgate X. He was in a wheelchair at the time, you all remember? That was the school year. He was in a wheelchair. But he showed up, we showed up. The support continued, the love continued, the brotherhood continued. Xavier continues to honor the process. You take on the mantra, fight like X. Soldier through like X would. And we were the ones helping him in the beginning, but it was him who inspired us in the end. Because I honestly don't believe we won a league championship and put a banner up for the rest of your lives if it wasn't for the lessons that he taught us. So we soldiered on, we committed to it, we honored the process, we took life lessons from Xavier Machuga, and he was the one that inspired us. Fast forward to today. This morning he sent me a text message. It was a video of him walking upstairs without anything. He walked upstairs and he didn't even hold a railing. Stand up. That alone is impressive. That alone is why we do this. Walk to me. Thank you.
And thank you guys, really. Thank you.
But is there anything else that you want to say to people or let people know about this season? Kind of open-ended.
Maybe not about this season, but about camp basketball in general. Camp basketball, it means the world to me. It really does. My little brother will play there. My son will play there. I'll probably still be going to games when I'm like 25. I know that sounds kind of bad, like a kid has no life, but no, it really means so much to me. And for a group of people to come together at a time like this, it's just, you can't put value on that. You can't put value on brotherhood. And this year, this exact team, they showed nothing but love and support to me. And they helped me really get through this. And you know what? Right now, I guess I say that I've beaten it because the hard part is over. But I wouldn't have got here if it wasn't for them pushing me every day. Also, Gordy once said basketball is nothing about basketball at all. And now I truly know the meaning of that. Basketball made me a good athlete, yeah. But really, basketball changed my life. Basketball gave me morals. Basketball made me into who I am today. Basketball gave me the fight that I needed to have to fight off the brain aneurysm. Basketball gave me the competitiveness to beat it. And I beat it.
You know that feeling right before the first night of tryouts? Everybody's excited, going to bed, and you're like, tomorrow we get to play, Canton High School basketball again. That feeling for me went away a long time ago. I don't get that feeling the night before tryouts. Okay? I know all you do because all you guys come into my classroom or you come into my office and you talk to me about it. And I know all you guys get that feeling, and I never want to shut that feeling down because that's an important feeling.